Before we get into sauce making, I'll bring you out here and take a look at some of the tomato growing condition. This is sad. This is my melons, and I went away last week to volunteer at a church camp, and we just didn't get rain while I was gone, so the plants have dried up a bit. We still have some melons here. I saw 5 started, so I'm going ahead, and we did have a good water last night. I'm going to come out here and prune some of the dead growth off here and hope that it makes a comeback. This in here is a ponderosa. I'm not sure if it's a red ponderosa or pink, but they're developing nicely. They're a longer variety, so they'll be a while till they're ripe. But the tomato trellis is looking brilliant. Some of the Amish paste tomatoes that I've picked for today's sauce have come off of here. In the back is a climbing triple crop. That's starting to ripen. Here's some Amish paste. This is beautiful. Here's that shemeg stew stuff. Or get stuffed tomatoes, more of them ripening now. And a lot of fruit on those plants. And then back here is the Rutgers. Let's see here. This is the big determinate variety that I planted. There's some ripening. They're not quite ready to come off yet. I'm going to let them ripen a little more. Some peppers and tomatoes in containers. Have a couple more super sweet 100s that are ripening today. I'll leave these on another day or two and let my mom munch on those. That plant here in the first bucket, that's a Manitoba. That's a determinate variety bred for cooler climates. It didn't do very well in the bucket. The bucket was difficult to keep moist. But it is fruiting, and the bottom row of fruits is turning. I'll probably pick a few more of those to add to our sauce today. My beautiful, healthy Paris Island cause and red romaine are going to seed, which is great. I'm collecting seeds for those. And back here, I'm excited that my first yellow plum is there, getting ready to pick with more fruit coming. It's in a slightly shadier spot than some of the other tomatoes, so it'll take a little longer. And the Johnny Jump Ups are really thriving now that I got some of the radishes out of the way that were hogging up space. This big monstrosity is a combination of zucchini, market more cucumber, and cucamelon. I just want to zoom out here so you can see that I didn't trellis the whole thing. And look at that cucumber vine overtaking the entire front yard. But I'm getting some brilliant cucumbers off of there. If you've never grown a cucamelon, it's also called a Mexican sour gherkin or a mouse melon. That teeny tiny little yellow bud back there, that's the blossom on it. And here's what they look like when they're just beginning. See right above that leaf, see that teeny tiny little fruit? That's a baby mouse melon forming. There's another one right there at the juncture. And over here, I'll show you one that's in development. Get my camera through the vines here. There we go. That right here is a cucamelon or a mouse melon. They're wonderful. I just come out here and snack on them. And they're just a small cucumber tasting, snackable sized vegetable that has a little bit of a citrus tang to it. Some people love them, some people prefer the taste of a traditional cucumber, and that's okay. Here's one that's ripe. Whoop, I dropped it. Let me see if I can find it. Got it. Gonna eat it. All right, let's go make some sauce. let me talk through the tomatoes that we do have. This is my pride and joy this year. I got seeds from Golden King of Siberia Yellow Oxheart Tomato. Never grew it before, came in a seed swap. I had 5 seeds, so I planted 2 of them. And look at these beautiful tomatoes. I can't wait to get these open. This is the first time I've ever grown them. I'd never even heard of them before until the seed swap seeds came. This is super exciting to me. These are the shemeg stew stuff. Sometimes they're called get stuffed. Now these are the first ones that I've picked. They're rather small. These can grow a little bit larger. They're meant to be a stuffing tomato, but just look at the shape. They're shaped like a bell pepper. And they have these beautiful colored streaks on. Thick walls, not many seeds. I picked 3 of them today. I'm going to put them in the sauce. I'll keep growing more. The plant is healthy and it's got plenty of room to grow. And I'll get bigger tomatoes as the season progresses. These are just little early ones that I went ahead and picked because they were ripe. That's a beautiful fruit. Got some Super Sweet 100. That's the only hybrid that I have. Amish paste. These are Manitoba, the kind of pinkish ones. These darker colored ones are Glacier tomatoes and Rutgers tomatoes. So that's what we've got. We've just a few of each, plus the beef steaks that I grew last year that are thawing. I'll include those in the sauce. Alright, sauce making time. I'm washing the tomatoes, onions, basil. I have some homegrown garlic to throw in here. Coring the tomatoes and then just chopping them coarsely, as you can see in the pan, and putting them on medium heat. I haven't added any liquid to this yet. Right now it's just the vegetables. Look at that inside of the yellow Oxheart tomatoes. It's all flesh. Look how meaty that is. That's amazing. In addition to multicolored tomatoes and some spring onion that I had grown, we have this fresh chopped basil. This is all for preference, so I like a lot of basil in my sauce, and I grew a lot of basil for this express purpose. I'm also going to use this opportunity to trim up my sweet marjoram plant, which needs a haircut. Sweet marjoram is related to oregano. So if you like oregano, that would work just as easily. And for this, I'm just chopping it right in there. All of this is going to get cooked down, and then for texture, going to be put into my Ninja blender. For these paste tomatoes, I slice them once in half and then a couple chunks. So they're about ½ inch or yeah, about a ½ inch chunk. These are going to cook down slowly on medium heat. For these kind of saladette tomatoes, I just quarter them. I went out today and got a few more of these tomatoes, so now I have more even than I need. So I won't have to cook up all of them, but I will get a slightly bigger batch. And I have spare cherry tomatoes. I just slice those in half before they go in the pan. So, alright, so we have all we have in here right now is tomatoes, onions, and herbs. There's no other liquid that's been added. That's because there's a lot of water content in the tomatoes, and I'm letting some of that cook out. I want this to be a nice thick sauce. And I had these frozen tomatoes from last year, and yesterday when they were frozen solid, they took up the whole bag. Now you can see how they've thawed overnight and a lot of water content. And the tomato flesh itself, the flesh and the skin, there's just not much left of it. So I'm draining these off. but I want to use these up and clear space in my freezer, so those are going in. Just as they are. Everything's going in the blender, so it's okay if it's a little chunky. Rule number 1 while you're cooking anything, but especially a sauce, salt as you go. Don't wait till the very end to season everything. Just a little bit of salt at the beginning, taste it in the middle, taste it at the end. I already know I'm going to want some pepper in here. And then in this sauce, it's going to cook down. I'm going to add some sugar. Tomatoes are acidic, and the herbs have bitterness and pungency to them. The sugar will break down some of that bitterness. That's about 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm also going to splash just a very little bit of distilled white vinegar in. That's another acid, but it'll also serve as base liquid and add some sourness to the sauce. You could also add lemon juice, and even at the end I might add a little lemon juice. I'm not adding any oil to this sauce, at least not yet. We'll see after it's blended if I feel like it needs for the consistency I want. Okay, I'm just going to cover this until it's cooked down nicely. I apologize for the background noise. There was a small fire in my house outside my house recently, and now the restoration team has brought an ionizer in and they put it right next to the kitchen. But it's doing its job, so I'm happy for it. This has been cooking now for about 20 minutes, and I left the lid mostly off so that the liquid would come off naturally. Now it's time to taste and season, but this is a good consistency for getting ready to put it in the blender. Okay, now here it is. It's in my Ninja blender. I wish you could smell this. The marjoram, basil, some garlic, onion. I even threw in a young jalapeno because I wanted to pick some of those to encourage my pepper plant to produce more. This is just a small batch, and I'm going to pulse it. This is totally preference, how smooth or chunky you like your sauce. And this is skins and all. The skins have so many healthy properties in them. They cook down really well. And if you've got a good blender, you'll never know they're in there. And that's it. Garden fresh marinara. Gonna cook up some spaghetti noodles now and have my lunch. There's enough here for 2 or 3 people. I'd say 2 people if you like a lot of sauce, 3 people for my household. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. Visit the description below to see the exact ingredients and some other ideas on how you might adapt this for your growing conditions. I'm learning a lot, sharing it here. Hope you'll come grow with me. Bye. I picked zucchini, about 6 okra, and I had some onion in the fridge. And then I had about 5 red beets. And so what I did was slice the red beets up and stick it in the pot that I'm using to cook my pasta. It'll turn to pasta colors, but it'll soften up the red beets so that they're not too tough. And then over here, these I'm just sauteing in a little bit of olive oil. When everything's cooked up, I'm going to mix the pasta, the beets, these veg, and then pour our new marinara sauce over it. I can't wait. Everything smells good, looks good, and most of all is a point of pride because it was grown here at home. Thank you, Jesus, for providing a good harvest this year. I hope that you're enjoying a good harvest at your garden too.